Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zarel. Let's get to it. Today we're doing the deep dive, codenamed Noble Crib. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. First stage of the deep dive has you taking out 2 dreadnoughts and recovering 1 black box. The black box you'll see is a green glow when you get close to it, and the dreadnoughts you can see on the train scanner, so you can always see what part of the map they're on. The black box you'll have to set up the uplink, and then you have to just zone control. There'll be this big greenish bubble that you have to stay within. The more people that stay within the bubble, the faster it'll go, and it's going to call in swarms of enemies, so you have to be prepared for enemies coming at you from every direction. Ours was more or less, you only had to worry about 2 directions, so it wasn't too terrible. Now the dreadnoughts, of course, are like bosses, where they have invulnerable stage, like the Hive Guard, completely invulnerable, and then you have to take out the Sentinels, which are almost like little mini bosses or guards of the boss. And then once those guards are gone, then you have to remove the shielding from the boss, and then once you do that, then you can actually damage the boss itself. So there is a very sponginess to the dreadnoughts, where you have to worry about taking damage, and of course you want to do as much damage as possible when that option is available. So once you have the dreadnought down, you can go on to the next one. Make sure that you're grabbing nitra and gold as you go along. Gold will increase your credits at the end of the deep dive. Nitra will let you call in resupply pods, and you're going to need it for this first stage since you're having to deal with 2 dreadnoughts. And of course you can do this by yourself with the help of Bosco, or with up to 3 other players. Now the players can be friends of yours that you invite to play the deep dive, or matchmake and have 3 random people play with you. The only prerequisite is that you have 1 dwarf promoted, and that is the dwarf that you can use. So if you don't have any promoted dwarves, then you're out of luck. Now once you get the black box recovered and both of the dreadnoughts, you're ready to go. If you see any gold or nitra in the area, of course you can grab that, but otherwise you can call in the drop pod and get out. The sooner, usually, the better. Now on the dreadnought stages, you don't have to worry about random swarms, but there will be occasionally different bugs that pop up out of the woodwork, so to speak. So not a swarm per se, but enemies will continue to harass you throughout a stage until you complete it. Once you call in the drop pod, you want to make a beeline, because there's going to be a lot of enemies coming after you, and they're going to keep on going until either you go down or you get onto the drop pod. So best to get on the drop pod. It's also a good time to point out that each stage is interconnected, so everything that you have from one stage carries over to the next. The amount of gold and nitrid, how much ammo and grenades you have, traversal tools, etc., including health, plus whatever is in your bag that you've not been able to deposit into the mule or the side of the drop pod. So all of that will carry over from one stage to the next. Alright, and we're done with stage 1. Third of the way there. Stage 2 of the deep dive has you collecting a quarks and recovering a black box. It feels a little bit like deja vu. You said, didn't we do the black box thing the last time? Yes, you did. And get used to it, because it's all about the black box this week. Now, additionally, you have critical weakness and rival presence on this stage, which means that weak point damage will do extra damage, and you're going to see drones and turrets, possibly even a nemesis on the stage. Now the Aquarks, you'll know it because there'll be little glowing blue flecks on the wall or the ceiling or the floor, depending on where it's positioned. So just mine it until you get it out, and then you're going to have to hoof it back to the rig to deposit, since there's no mule on the stage. Now, it doesn't matter what order you do these in. You could do the Aquarks and then recover the black box. You can do the black box first if you see it right away, or you could do it somewhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter as long as you get everything done, because unlike normal stages, the deep dive has 2 required objectives before you can get out. So once you get all the Aquarks and the black box, then you can call in the drop pod. You send the rig to orbit. You'll have to stick it out in the stage for 2 minutes, and then the drop pod will come in and pick you up. Of course, you have to hoof it to the drop pod as per usual, so do make sure that you are prepared to make a mad dash for wherever the drop pod comes down. But once it shows up, no need to wait. You can get straight in. If you do have some things to deposit because you picked it up after you sent the rig to orbit, you can do that. If it's a little bit too hairy, you can wait till the next stage to deposit it. And that's it for stage 2. You're already over halfway done. 1 stage left to go. And of course, the deep dive is a 3-stage raid-like environment. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. Depending on what hazard level you normally do levels, this can feel about the same, a little bit harder, or maybe even a little bit easier, depending on what difficulty level you run normally. Now, the last stage has elite threats, and of course you're doing liquid morkite, and obviously you're doing a black box. As I said, this is all about the black box this week, even though it's not the main objective. Actually, I've never seen the main objective be a black box, but you have black box on every single stage. Now, liquid morkite, you'll have to find where the 3 sites of the liquid morkite are, build the pipeline out, and then connect it to the rig. Now, once you have all 3 pipelines connected, you're not ready to go yet. You still have to do the black box. You won't be able to start pumping until that black box is done, so just be aware of that. You will need to go ahead and take care of that first before you can do any pumping. But otherwise, it doesn't matter when you do the black box. Now, while you are pumping, you're going to have to deal with lots and lots of enemies coming after you. Stay away from the rig if at all possible, because that is normally the worst possible place to try and defend, because you're basically having to do a full 360 plus, up and down to defend against the bugs and where they're coming from. So if you can find a good defensible position, that's great. If not, stay on the move, either by riding the pipeline or a zip line, and take care of the bugs as you see them. When the pipelines start leaking, go ahead and repair them, get up to that 100%, and then you're ready to go. Send it up to orbit, call down the drop pod, and get out, and you're done. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
rocket is returning to orbit. We're sending in the drop pod to get you out. Hang tight.
You're fast, Bug, but I'm faster. Gotta go fast. Look there. Lloyd! No, they killed my Bug.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 3 minutes.
Let's leave this hellhole!
Hang in there. Supplies are on the way.
Enemies frozen!
Lie down forever.
Rock and stone to the bone!
Yeah.
Cryo grenade! Resupply pod is here. Everybody collect ammunition.
Explosives, vice.
Let's clear them out!
Drop pod departing in T-minus 2 minutes.
It's past your expiration date! Deep Rock really need to provide some better equipment.
Shields place.
Rock and stone! Chill.
You least bungling son of a mudmover. We're on the same team.
Help!
A dwarf never dies.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 1 minute.
Hey, I ain't one of them! You tree climbing halfwit!
I was born ready. Who's gonna protect you now? We
Freeze!
Comet gets off.
See here! Lighting!
Drop pod departing in 30 seconds.
Rock and stone! Yeah! Rock on! Rock
That's one for the books. Retrieving escape pod.
and stone forever!
Rock on!
None can stand before us!